quiet seaside town, an evil laid to rest centuries ago, has risen. An abandoned fortress deep in the swamp holds a secret that could save the village or destroy it. Now, a band of adventurers sets out to dig up the wounds of the past and bring the light of day to the roots of ruin. This is Tabletop Gold.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Tabletop Gold, episode 97. I'm Lars, Casteen, the Golden Tyrant. Good to see you. Glad to have you here. And I am joined today by our Matt Humphreys.
Hey, good evening. Good that time.
Good that time to you. David Chernicoff, the Tin Man, is here.
Good that time, Lars.
Zoe Chernicoff is here as well.
Good that time.
And Robin Lange is here as well.
Oh, hello there.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm a little hot. I'm a little steamy. We're at this sort of like transitional point in New York City weather where spring has sprung and my heater that I have no control of is still going for it. It is still zapping me. I am sweating right now.
Yeah, I actually put on shorts today
Oh.
Did you?
because it was warm in my house. Yeah.
I'm
and also this
jealous.
very nice sweater that I put on thinking of you, Lars.
Robin is wearing
yeah.
a mushroom sweater filled with all kinds of foraged-looking mushrooms.
Yum.
Decomposers, as they're called in the by biologists.
Ooh,
A delicious
I
thing
think
to eat, a thing that just grows on a dead thing. Delightful.
I bought the shirt for me, but I'm wearing it for you.
Okay, well, thanks.
I played a great mushroom-related board game while I was in Omaha. Have you guys ever played
Foray?
Morals?
Oh, well, Morels is Foray is the expansion. Morels is the game.
Well,
is
this
the
got
two players.
pretty in the weeds pretty fast.
Yeah. That's where you find mushrooms. I don't know if that's true. or not.
You bring up a 2-player mushroom game, and you
Let-
better believe my husband and I have it.
Let's structure this
Everybody-
conversation thusly. Let's limit the first chunk to just the base game of Morels, and then let's open the door to the expansion. So
Oh, we don't need to talk about the expansion. It's fine.
Matt, tell me about Morels, the board game.
Oh, it's a really fun. It's a card game, and it plays really quick between two players. But it's like you're traveling a little into a forest and grabbing some mushrooms and trying to get as many of them and cook them and get the most mushroom points before your opponent does.
Is there a chance that you can pick the wrong mushroom and die in real life?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, there's the
Destroying
poisonous
Angel.
Destroying Angel. Yes, thank you, Robin.
Yeah, if you get stuck with the Destroying Angel, it's not good. You're trying to avoid getting that card.
is the Destroying Angel a kind of mushroom, or is it an angel that destroys you?
Right. It's a little bit religious. Also,
It is an
this game.
angelic-looking white mushroom. It's very pretty, and if you eat it, it no bueno. You'll only eat it once.
It can be a tactical decision because the guy I was playing against, my friend, used it to clear his hand out of like bad cards.
Because you have a hand limit, but there's so many things you want, but you need to get the right things so you can cook them, and it's even better if you cook them with, say, butter.
Do you
it's
get like
so
a
good.
frying pan and butter? Are those among
Yes.
the cards?
Yes. And a collection basket. So
Yeah,
these are all different cards that you're for your resource management for this card
What
game.
if you just get a bunch of butter? Like, isn't that the real winner?
I would love to play that game. Is there a game where you can just have a bunch of butter?
It's called butter.
And not to be confused with the expansion, Churned, but that's like the 2-player variant.
I love board games that like get you into activities that you would not necessarily explore on your own recognizance and suddenly discover that they're super cool and fun.
I saw a board game that was like that just started a crowdfunding campaign on that became if you're familiar with board games, you may know the website Board Game Geek, which is like the crowd-supported database of all board game stuff, right? Like you can write reviews. It's like the epicenter of the board game fandom. And they have a chart that is like the hotness chart.
Hotness. Oh, yeah.
And the number one on the hotness yesterday was a game called Let's Go to Japan, which is not a game about going to Japan. It is a game about making an itinerary for a trip on which you would go to Japan.
Which is a pretty Japanese take on the whole thing, to be honest.
I think that makes sense.
I think that the next generation of board games are planning board games.
It seems like that.
My Wednesday night board game group, my husband, one of our friends from that group, came up with a board game based, I can't remember if it was a card game or a full board, exactly how it worked, but about scheduling board game night.
Oh my God.
No.
There is
Too real.
such the way that like anybody who plays tabletop RPGs like has a respect and fear for scheduling is I think like
I think it works for like any kind of game. The idea there, and you can like you'll end up with a schedule, and then you've got to play out like that week or so and see what happens. And like and then everyone's got a different character, and someone may end up with the babysitter canceled card.
right. No, that's so relatable. I would be too scary
this is
for
what my
me.
nightmares are. Like literally
Thank
all
you.
of my nightmares
Yes.
are waking up with like some really mundane, silly task that I either did wrong or didn't think through. Like 4 nights a week, I'm up for an hour because of something like this. Playing it as a game?
But Zoe, what if you had it as a board game with really cool art?
This is the most important swing variable here is it the kind of board game where basically it is possible to do, or the kind of board game where basically it is impossible to do? And if you are board game people, you know exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Because some
Is it
board games
Arkham?
are designed to like, if you lay everything out right and you kind of manage your stuff, there is at least some, it's 25% chance or greater of like things coming together and you feel a sense of accomplishment and mastery and control. And there's some games that are literally designed to prevent you from ever feeling like you're on top of all of your stuff.
Right.
And so if it's designed in that like torturous oppositional way, I wonder if you can tell, listener, which sort of game I prefer, where you like never feel like you're on top of it, then it's just reproduce. It's like quote unquote a theme, but the theme is the rest of my fucking life that I'm trying to get away
Now
from.
I have some downtime, so I'm just
Yeah.
doing the usual in game form.
Yeah, like I feel like there are board games where it's like even if you lose at the end of the game, you take a look at the table and you're like, I made a nice garden.
Right,
Whatever.
I invested
Yeah.
in wood
Yeah.
and did a pretty good job of that.
I
or
built
whatever.
my civilization. My car runs. Yeah, exactly.
There's a great tile laying game, Isle of Cats.
You
Even
get
if you
a
don't
bunch
win,
of cats.
you end up with a boat full of cats. It's
Who
really
doesn't want
cool.
all those cats?
Similarly, Wingspan, where you like, I
End up
played
with
all
a
these
bunch
cool
of birds.
Yeah.
Or the mushroom game where
Get a
you
bunch
end
of
up with a
mushrooms.
thriving colony of fungus, and who wouldn't be satisfied by that?
But then there are games where if you don't do perfectly, you starve to death and you just look at ruination in front of you.
Yes.
Dead of Winter, my friends.
Oh my God, that game.
I love Dead of Winter though. Dead of Winter is great.
What do you say we move on? Let's that was a fun little board game chat. Hey, folks at home, if you got a board game you want to talk about, send us a little message. You know how to get in touch with us. Tell us about a
Maybe
board game you
we'll
like.
Twitch playing a board game sometime, right? We all like board
Oh,
games.
Oh my
that'd be
gosh,
super
yes.
fun.
We can
Yeah.
Board Game Arena.
Little board game chat.
Or a little
Totally.
tabletop simulator if we wanted to.
My computers can't run
Okay, never mind.
No, I would be happy to try if we want some choppy video and to be able to smell my computer from where you live.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Maybe some other time.
Can we do a really quick little fun share?
Yeah.
Everyone's all-time top favorite like board game.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah, let's do it.
I'm a turn and taxes person.
Okay.
Like my all-time favorite. I could play that forever.
Race for the Galaxy.
Race for the Galaxy.
Oh, I love that game. Yeah, that's a really good one.
Okay. Robin.
I kind of want to counter that and say, I don't know if it's my all-time. Oh my gosh, it's so hard.
What's happening?
Too many.
It doesn't have to be
I
a
played
counter.
too
We
many.
can just each have our own favorite.
That's a nice idea.
Oh, you know what? One I will always play. It's a Wonderful World.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
It is
It's a song by Louis Armstrong.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say a movie.
You are building a futuristic society with laying cards,
I like
and,
You are
and there's a little bit of
building a
resource management in that, depending on the cards. And so it's a fun future sci-fi game.
Like Civilization Builder. I love it.
Yeah.
Armat, how about you?
I think maybe Agricola, actually.
Oh,
I
'cause
love
I've played
Agricola.
a ton of it.
Oh.
and-
Oh, we play very different games, my friend. I will only play that on the app.
I like the feeling of like arriving at the point where you're like, oh, being a tenant farmer in the like 17th century was just misery and
Yeah.
horrible.
That's that type of game. Agricola is a game like this game you described that you hate, David.
Yeah, I feel like it's
Yes.
like the iconic one.
It is
Yeah.
actually the one I had in mind when I was trying to
No
describe the
kidding.
feeling.
Yeah, I love
That's so
games like
funny.
that. I love like really oppressive games where the system pushes back on you like really, really hard. That's something that
It
I
was
enjoy.
Lars. One of the kindest things you've ever done for me was actually voice that there is a type of game that's designed to make you feel this way. And David, you just may not like it very much. Instead of me feeling like the problem was me
Yeah,
for all
yeah.
those years.
Yeah.
My favorite board game is Too Many Bones.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
You
Love-
like your dice, don't you?
I like my dice. I like extremely convoluted character builds that are difficult to muster. I like the system pushes. So
Yes.
Too Many Bones is a game where you like have a million dice and you try to build a character similar to Pathfinder, and the things that you do with the dice are incredibly convoluted. And it was made by a company that wasn't great at graphic design at the time that they published it, and it is very difficult at times to parse what the hell is even happening in it. And I love it.
Yeah, they're a good
It's
company,
my
though.
favorite.
Speaking of complicated characters and games that push back at you, right? I mean, that's our
Yes.
segue here.
That's our segue.
It's the iTunes podcast algorithm.
Yes. Hey, thank you to everybody who is supporting the show with reviews. I really appreciate it. We all appreciate it. We got this review from Simon on, let me just double check what platform this came in on. I usually make a note, but I'm not convinced that I did this correctly this time. Yeah, okay. So this was on Podcast Addict from Simon. And they say, I adore that Zoe took the review that this is a kid-friendly podcast as a personal attack and has been weaponizing biting words against 6-year-old ears. I've loved the evolution of AO from teenage anime kitsune into teenage anime kitsune Lewis Black. So there we go.
Ah, my vision has been
Yeah, you
realized.
nailed it.
Snaps for that one.
Thank you so much, Simon S., for that
Yes,
review.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.
Super helps us
Great.
out. Thank you. And with that, let's play our game. Immediately after taking the stairs down to the 6th floor below Gauntlet for the first time, you've stumbled into a situation unlike any other you've encountered here. You're in an underground tavern filled with Morlocks and other subterranean creatures. And just as the patrons of this bar are going to voice their dissatisfaction with your intrusion, the house band sang an emotional song about loneliness and family, the singer's gaze locked on AO the entire time. Now, the tense attitudes of the customers here have cooled somewhat, and the band has resumed playing music typical of this sort of establishment.
Before we move on too much from the music,
Sure.
we do need to take another minute for how our last episode ended,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
which was
Oh my gosh.
so
Brilliant.
exquisite.
And
And what
fucking
I
awesome.
don't think was obvious
Dope.
from just listening to it,
Right.
listeners, was that was not a recording of that song. That was Lars singing live over a recorded instrumental. He hit a button and then started singing over the rest of the track, all of the instrumentation and the background vocals that he had pre-recorded, but he sang the lead vocal live in session.
And if
It-
you couldn't tell, none of us knew that was coming.
None of it.
Yeah.
None of us knew that was
It
coming.
So-
amazing.
This is the advantage of getting all 3 of the books for an adventure path before you start playing. I've had that moment clocked for literal years now.
Yeah, no,
God.
yes,
That's
and the
so
payoff
awesome.
was worth every week and month
Well,
of build up. I mean, that it was just unreal to experience live, and I'm sure it will be on a recording as well. But I just didn't want folks to think that was like then Lars inserted into the recording
right.
an entirely pre-written, pre-recorded track. He did that live. He played the instruments and then he sang the thing live. It was nuts.
I think it's worth calling out also what that song is. I did not write that song. That song is a song called Small Town Boy by a band called Bronski Beat, which is like a British synthesizer pop band from the 80s.
Well, now
wave.
I'm not impressed anymore.
Yeah.
Thank you for
But it's a great song and it's a great band. And like it's one of those songs that I have loved, like absolutely loved since the first time I heard it. And a little peek behind the curtain kind of thing. Like I hear that song's story. I think it's like a very clear story that song is singing, is talking about. And I just really like the idea of somebody seeing AO and getting the connections there. And anyway,
which is what you did.
which is
when
what I did.
Yes.
You were talking to Zoe about her character formation back
Right,
in episode
right.
0 days.
What I do anytime I'm talking to somebody about a character that they're making is I go through my Rolodex of 80s synthesizer music and I figure out which
You
song.
figure out which one.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I can't wait to see what you come up with for Trill.
Should this be like our $1,000 Patreon tier? Is you'll do this for a person and then sing them the song?
I will
my
tell
God.
you, if somebody pays me $1,000 to do anything involving music, period, it will be $1,000 more than I have ever gotten paid in any way.
Well, I think
Or
we just
anything
found our
involving
$1,000
music.
Patreon tier. Lars will
There
go
we
through
go.
his 80s synth.
Yeah.
Lars will
Rolodex,
talk to you
come
for
up-
an hour, and then he will
No,
map
no,
you
no.
to an
15
80s
minutes.
cover.
Don't you overpromise. An hour is
Yeah,
a long
please.
time.
Time is money, David.
It's $1,000 apparently.
Lars will read a
a good rate.
paragraph-long description of you and then map you to an 80s song.
Amazing.
And sing it for you.
Yeah.
But doing that was a lot of fun. It's something that I've been working on for a little while, and like when I've had downtime at home, I've been working on it. And like my son, who is 3.5 years old, became very familiar with the song, and we had like a few weeks where we listened to my recording of that song as I was like demoing it for myself, the original and another cover, and it was just like Small Town Boy on repeat in our house for like
What was it that he referred to the song as?
at first he said, I want to hear your runaway go away. And then he listened to it enough and he realized that the lyric is not go away. And he updated it to, I want to hear your runaway turn away.
Oh.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's great. Anyway,
it was
all
really
right,
nice.
so
I'm really glad that we got to do it. I hope people enjoyed it. And I'm really glad that you guys enjoyed it. So
Well,
we
we
enjoyed it.
enjoyed it.
thank you
Oh
so
my
much.
God.
I really appreciate
So
it.
we were
much.
just like floored if I was reading the room correctly.
Literally jaws hanging open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Well, thank you. That makes me feel good. I really appreciate it. You know what else makes me feel good?
Our game.
Is telling you about what's happening in this tavern right now. Okay, so we've already mentioned that the singer sees Ao and starts singing this song. Where we're picking up is there's a moment that hangs in the air, and then this band resumes performing sort of typical tavern music. I want to tell you about the residents in this tavern right now, just to refresh your memory. At the front table closest to the stage, there's a pair of Morlocks playing cards with each other. They are paying pretty close attention to the band. It seems like they've chosen this table here to get close to the band. Behind them, standing next to the bar, is a creature, a large creature that is the torso and head of a drow woman and the lower abdomen and legs of a gigantic spider. She's reading a book, paying very little attention to what's going on in the room. But you can see that she is trying to be physically imposing as she stands there, and she is looking at you over her book with a unfriendly, sort of critical eye. And then at the bar, there are two more Morlocks, one ordering a drink and talking enthusiastically about something, and another tending bar looking frustrated and out to lunch. So, with that table being set, I'm just going to let you guys go for it. What are you going to do? Who wants to start things off?
Well, I think Ao has been totally struck by this song, right? Like, came in here expecting, to be honest, a fight, right? Because what happens when you walk into a room in the dungeon with a bunch of Morlocks, particularly, we've faced before, but we haven't had a lot of fun social encounters in this dungeon that I can think of. So her eyes are just locked on the band leader, the Ratfolk person who sang the song. And as the band continues playing, she sort of drifts around the southern edge of the room to get close to the stage and see if there's a minute where she can catch this person's eye again or talk to them. Like, she feels as if this person has just peered into her heart.
And Trill sees her doing this, and Trill, as someone who is used to performing, was paying a lot of attention at what the singer was kind of putting out there, and noticed this connection. So Trill's following Ao and is essentially trying to now Ao's focused on the singer, Trill's focused on Ao.
Okay.
And obviously Ao is still an enormous white Morlock.
Naturally.
So Ao steps up to the stage under Trill's watchful eye, and while the band is playing a song, this Ratfolk woman is playing a keyboard in front of her, and she looks over at you and sort of does a little, like, one moment sort of thing, like, raises her finger a little bit just for a moment and continues to play. And after a couple of minutes of
popping
Ao
awkwardly,
waiting
I think,
by the
like,
stage.
a really sort of, like, she doesn't care about the music at all, but she's definitely doing a sort of weird.
I would think, while Trill sees that Ao's not interacting yet, that the singer's busy, Trill comes up to Ao and wants to check in.
That seemed pretty bizarre, right? That singer was singing to you, right?
I think it was my song.
What do you mean your song?
I don't know. I've never heard it before, but I think it was my song.
And the band finishes the song that they're playing, and this Ratfolk woman, just for a moment, as the Morlocks in the crowd, especially the ones up by the front table, start applauding, like putting their hands in front of their face, like, woo, 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 and you hear them shout, Rita, Rita, Rita. And she like sort of looks at them, holds her hand up in the air, and gives them a little raise of the eyebrow, and then comes over towards Ao and says, "Can I help you?"
I thought it was beautiful, Ao says weirdly.
Yeah, it's a good song. Thank you.
Where'd you come from? Ao says a little desperately.
I came from underground. I've gotta get back.
No, but
I've got
you
a
can't
set.
just.
No, I do have a set. I have to keep.
Where did the song come from?
And she sighs. She's like, I don't know. I guess I saw something. Seemed like you needed to hear a song. And she sort of shrugs and says, I gotta keep playing. And the Morlock bartender on the other side of the room has his arms crossed in front of him and is like nodding, like hands up in the air, like, where's the music? Pantomiming. And it seems as though she doesn't, beyond the idea of she saw something in you and she wanted to sing a song. She's not really interested in you, beyond this one song. And I don't know. How does that make Ao feel?
I mean, I think she's quietly, like, there's a split between being disbelieving, but this woman is so clearly callous, right? Like there's no tease happening here. Finding out you're an inconsequential muse is like so shattering, right?
Inconsequential Muse, my new band, by the way.
Yeah, it's a different
So many
band.
bands today.
It's like a really shitty Muse cover band.
I love it.
Yeah, her attitude is basically just like, I'm doing a job here, you know? Like she's not giving you much.
Right, and I think to feel like you've been spoken to and then have someone be like, nah. Like, especially, you know, when you're as young as Ao is, like I think she's just sort of like all the feelings that have been happening are now just like pooling in her, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense. It's like she looked in your soul, saw something that you keep hidden from people, triggered something emotional in you, and then is letting you down. I think it's awful. It's a terrible way to treat a person.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I think 3 minutes ago, Ao would have like gone wherever this woman told her to, and now it feels like none of it mattered, but the song is still there.
Yeah. And she gets back behind the keyboard, and the band counts in 1, 2, 3, and starts playing another song.
So Trill's been standing right by Ao during all of this. And Trill comes up and kind of pats Ao on the hand.
Ao, here, come talk with me.
And brings Ao over to a table to sit down. Because clearly this is a fairly comfortable space. She feels like they can just sit and talk here.
And Ao sort of like stumbles after her vacantly.
Trill looks at Ao.
Ao, I wasn't, trying to, well, I guess I was, but I wasn't eavesdropping. I was, you knew I was right next to you. But I heard what she said. And I know it must be really hard to think that you got a connection with someone who's on a stage and then you start talking with them and it seems like that connection wasn't real at all, but sometimes performers, the really good ones, have kind of like a power, and maybe she has the power to maybe look at someone and just know something about who they are without ever speaking. Does that sound right?
And I feel like Ao's taking in like 1 out of every 15 words that Trill is saying to her. She looks at her and she's like, I guess a lot of us have some magic inside of us, don't we, Trill? But not all of us.
What about that song hit you so hard? What in the lyrics? What? Help me understand. I want to help you.
I don't know if there's helping me, Trill, but it was all right there. I can't. It's like, it's true. The things that you need, the love that you need, but whatever it is that you need, you're not gonna find it at home. Trill, did you find it at home? I didn't find it at home.
What was home like?
It wasn't home, Trill. They call it home, but it isn't home.
What? Ew, what happened to you? We've never really talked like this.
There's nothing to talk about. It's fine. It's fine. I just wasn't. They didn't always let me stay because they wanted to make me like them. They wanted to send me away so I could come back and be like them, Trill. You can't make someone like you. If the magic is there, you can't take it away. They tried to take it away from me.
And so that's why you left?
Yes. My parents, I think they meant well, and they thought if I was just more like them and if I was more like Greisel, my brother, maybe it would all be okay. We could all be like each other, but I wasn't like them, Trill, and so I had to jump.
You have a brother?
I had a brother. Maybe he's still out there. I guess he's still out there. He's still, well, with me in one way. And she sort of like absentmindedly runs a finger over her pocket. Yeah, I think he's still out there somewhere, but he wasn't family, Trill.
Trill noticed that pocket and she's clocks it, but isn't going to say anything. It clearly, she doesn't want to push AO too far.
That's awful. I can't even imagine growing up a gnome in Brasselwark. There's magic everywhere. It's kind of what we do. There's creativity everywhere.
Did you get along with your family? I mean, Vadim gave all of this up for his family. How do you go back to your family? Troll, you're not going back to your family, right?
I mean, not right now. If I stayed there, I probably would have gotten really bored. That was my whole thing. I need constant new things. This adventure with you, finding out about you are one of the most interesting people I've ever met, Ao. I'm constantly getting new things from you every day. I might go back one day, but I don't know if it's the same thing. What you've been through, Ao, sounds awful. And it sounds not fair to you. And it makes me really glad that you're here with us right now.
I worry no one else is here for the same reasons I am.
Well, that's what makes any group a fun, interesting group. If everyone was here for the same reason, that'd be kind of boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and Ao's eyes flicker over to Isthan. I mean, he sort of seems like he's trying to add fun. I don't know how I feel about fun.
Well, what about interest and new experiences?
And that light, she says, without even really thinking about it.
Yeah, the light. And Trill knits her eyebrows together a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, definitely that terrible, awful blue light.
Word.
Hey, what do you say we look around this tavern a little bit more and see what new things we can come up with and new memories we can make here?
I think I need a drink.
We can do that. I mean, I don't know if they got anything on Magaloy, but we can give it a go.
Let me actually pick up. I want to see what Isthan and Mag were maybe up to during that conversation. Like, let's merge the timelines in a little bit, but I kind of want to get a sense of what they were up to while this heart-to-heart was happening over this small table in this tavern as this band played.
Arm wrestling for supremacy?
I think he's going to wait until his enfeebled wears off before he tries to arm wrestle with Mag. Let's be real here.
Actual answer for Mag is she would move toward the end of the bar where this enormous drow arachnid creature is standing and kind of keeping watch.
Well, let me give you a little bit of a sense of what Mag sees when she's looking around the room, because we've been pretty focused on the band and on Ao and so on. Like, Mag looking around the room gets the sense that the people here are not really all that happy that you're here. There's a look on the faces around the room like they're waiting for a fight. Like, everybody here
we've got an Old West saloon vibe. There's not quite a full needle scratch because the band has like helped with the energy, but everybody's scrutiny is on the newcomer.
Exactly. There was about to be a fight. This band started playing a song and it smoothed everything over for you.
Yeah. So she'll she'll make her way gingerly, self-consciously, but unapologetically to that end of the bar. And in the guise of waiting for a drink, she will half turn toward this other being. What sort of being is this, or how would I best refer to them?
Give me a recall knowledge check. This is an occultism check.
Okay. One of Mag's absolute long suits. Yeah.
The two dingbats who could help you are off being emotional in the corner, blowing everyone's cover. So, sorry.
Okay, so I've got your occultism check. You take a look at her, and you don't really have a great sense of what or who she is, but you do see that she is Like, I think that you're able to put together the pieces that I told you, that she seems like she is half drow, half spider. And as you approach and size her up, she looks at you, and this is happening as Trill and Ao are talking.
Sure.
She's looking at a book, and she moves the book down underneath her eyes and looks at you. She's like, thought you were here for a fight. Not sure you're not, actually. As long as you play nice, though, it's not a problem. And she creeps the book back over her eyes and continues looking at this book.
While all this has been happening, I think Istin has clumped over and in perfect undercommon says, "Nyang nyang bonobo," which translates to, of course, "Oh, what's that you're reading?" And he's gone laser focused on the book she has.
And she says, I'm not sure that you'd be into this.
"Oh, I've read all sorts of books. What sort is it? Is it the kind with lots of villainous entities who have to be overcome through the power of teamwork and friendship?"
There's a fair amount of overcoming in this, yes.
Oh, well, that's lovely. I love a tale of spirit and good times. Have you ever read the one book? Oh, I forget who it was by. Oh, it was Terence McCutcheon. Yes, Terence McCutcheon. He had a long-running series about this small party of adventurers who, at first, they don't get along very well, and there's all sorts of friction that they have to butt their heads against. But by the end, I'll be damned if I wasn't just crying my little eyes out, eh?
Okay, I'll show you the book. She turns it around, and you see illustrations of drow people engaged in incredibly imaginative sexual acts.
Like, give us an example.
12 at a time.
The Drow Kama Sutra.
In a circle or a line?
It's
Drow
a
Sutra?
circle with an intersecting line. It's like a don't do
Oh,
it
right.
sign.
You got like 8 and 4. Yeah.
There's an 8 and a 4. And what these drawings lack in sophistication, they seem to make up for in variety. And she raises her eyebrows and she says, "Hot enough for you?"
And Istin sort of pulls at the collar of his plate armor and goes, "I haven't read that one."
Well, neither have I. I've been trying to read it for quite a while now, and you keep talking to me. Do you mind? I'm trying to read.
"Oh, I don't mind at all. I'm a stud of Elvolus. It's a pleasure to meet you." And he sticks his hand out to shake hands with her.
And at that, Mag tries her best not to register any reaction, but snorts once audibly and rolls her eyes and moves to the upper part of the bar, closer to where the barkeep is, leaving Istin and the other creature to themselves.
I'm going to say that because you immediately demonstrated this friendliness, even though she's being sort of standoffish to you, you've shifted her down from unfriendly to indifferent. I know you weren't making an impression, you weren't rolling to make an impression, but she was worried that you were here to fight her. You made it clear that you were a big dork, and she relaxed a little
Accurate.
bit
Yes,
because of it.
he is a big dork.
Mostly harmless.
So, Ao and Trill are about halfway through their conversation at this point as Mag moves on to the bar.
And Mag signals to the barkeep that she'd like a drink.
The bartender looks afraid at first as you come up to him with this enormous hammer, but the moment you order a drink, he also shifts from being unfriendly to indifferent to you. And he shrugs and he leans down, focusing his enormous white opaque eyes on a cask underneath the bar.
And Mag will turn to the other Morlock who's drinking up here and say, "Yang yang bonobo," which, of course, we all know is undercommon for, "So, do you come here often?"
Wait, does Mag speak Undercommon now?
Yeah, didn't she take Undercommon at level up?
Did you? I'm forced to believe you.
Well, there was a whole thing about how
I think
many
Trill's
languages
the only
there
one who
were.
doesn't speak Undercommon now.
Oh, okay. You got good. Sorry, I'm David.
Come a long way from that dictionary translation exercise, huh?
So the the customer looks at you and says,
Oh, I've been waiting here for quite some time. My ticket's gonna get punched pretty soon.
and the bartender rolls his eyes as he slides the drink over to Mag and says,
Yeah, sure. Your ticket's gonna get punched soon. I'm sure you're exactly what they're looking for.
and the other Morlock says,
No. They're gonna give me the metal bones. It's gonna be amazing. Sure, yeah, they're gonna give you the metal bones.
and you realize that the customer on the side of the bar that you are on is quite drunk.
Mag takes a first gulp of whatever beverage she's been proffered and does the thing where, like, you know, she is talking to the person, but she's going to play it. She's going to look out at the room rather than looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know, kind of like the, you know, like when you don't want to, so you just kind of,
Yeah, when you're like when you're cool and you want to be cool.
yeah, you're being cool. So and Mag is not cool. So I don't want to say she's doing this smoothly, but she's trying to do an impression of what she's seen cool people do when they're drinking and trying to seem cool about it.
All right.
And she says, oh, well, what sort of call up are you waiting for?
Well, I think the same thing all of us are here for. We're all just waiting to get called in for the process.
That's how it goes, eh?
Yeah. And you know what? This bartender's a real asshole. Why not me? I've seen some of the cretins they take in there for the process. I bet I do fine.
I'm sure that's so, says Mag, and she takes another gulp, still kind of playing it like she's just surveying the room, just passing the time.
The bartender replies, looking at Mag, like trying to catch Mag's eye.
Yeah, this guy's the cream of the crop.
A lot of folks from in here getting selected these days. You seen a lot of turnaround?
Yeah, they're getting all kinds of folk in there. I'm gonna get picked right away, I promise you.
Where'd you reckon the most folks who are cycling in at this point? Where you reckon they're coming from?
Well, they take people, and I don't know where they go. But then you see them afterwards, and they've got these amazing metal bones.
I've had some good luck myself with enhancements, says Mag, and she holds up her magically repaired hand by way of kind of demonstrating, that she's had some helpful special body improvement stuff.
And the Morlock turns in and looks at your hand and presses their eyes against it insistently. They say,
No, that's just more surface dweller meat on surface dweller meat. There's no creativity there. This is nothing. This is terrible. You should get your money back.
Mag takes a third gulp of her drink, which will finish the round, and she jerks her head over to the large, I guess, sort of bouncer security lady, and asks, "So what's her story?"
Oh, Lalazanx?
What was? Sorry, that was exceptionally difficult to understand.
Lalazanx?
Oh, okay.
I think
all
you
right.
heard it just fine. I just think it's that her name is Lalazanx, and you're like, that's not a name.
Yeah, I could tell it had some Z's and X's. Sorry, this is David now, not Mag. Okay. All right. Yeah, Lalazanx. And Mag kind of mumble mouths it to cover up the fact that she couldn't distinguish any of the consonants. Well, yeah. Malazine, over there.
Don't worry about her. She barely pays attention to anything. She looks tough, but unless swords get drawn, I don't think she's gonna do much.
Well, I'll have another, says Mag.
And the bartender says,
All right, fine.
and it's at that moment that Trill and Ao finish their conversation. Nothing too crazy having happened during their conversation.
And I think they sidle up to the bar, and Ao looks a little worn and catches Mag's eyes. You buying this round?
Sure.
Hey, fancy boy, you drink? She shouts back at Iston.
Iston looks, oh, I'd love a drink. I definitely drink. Have you heard of Caden Kalian? Love that fella.
That was me laughing, not Ao. Ao's not in a very laughy place, but...
And Iston will walk back over to join the group.
So the four of you are kind of sidled up on this, at this bar, just sort of having a drink together.
This band always play here? Ao asks awkwardly.
Oh, yeah. That's actually kind of the best thing about waiting here. You know, I've been waiting to get in for quite a while. They're going to do the process on me, you know?
And Ao's head whips over. This is the drunk person?
Yeah.
And mind you, Trill doesn't understand any of this because Trill still does not speak Undercommon.
Right. Trill's just like a grandma with a cup of tea, just like sipping on a beer.
She's like a kitty playing with a ball.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I am 6'6". Everybody in my life is 5'4", and we go to noisy bars and they're talking. I don't know what the hell anybody is saying the entire time. So I know exactly what Trill is going through right now. Believe
Being the
you
shorty
me.
in the group is not easy either, my friend.
Nothing's easy.
Yeah.
And they say,
Yeah, the process. They're taking a lot of us Morlocks in there, and they're coming out really strong. It's amazing. And they're going to pick me.
Ao's face just has gone like even more haunted than it was. Don't do that. Don't let them, don't do that. You got, and she like grabs this person by the shoulders, like in a, not a aggressive way, but a distraught way. Why would you let them do that? They're trying to take you from yourself.
Well, come on. Hey,
What is the process?
and she's so drunk that she's like letting you touch her without any particular sort of violent reprisal at all. She says,
I don't know how they do it, but people go in and then they come out really strong. It's amazing. I'm done with this stupid body of mine.
and she flops like a tallow arm on the bar and says,
It's not really good for much, you know?
They make you strong? Is that what they tell you? They make you better?
Yeah.
They make you who they want you to be?
Yeah, but I think they know what they're doing.
What makes you think that they don't know what they're doing?
And Mag notices that Ao is unusually worked up, and so she cuts in and just gently says, "Oh, well, I'm sure whoever these folks are, they must be real experts in what they're trying to do. Don't you figure, Ao?"
Trill not understands it, but seeing Ao getting upset and thinking about their conversation, leans over to Ishton and goes,
Iston, do you know, I've got some other languages. For some reason, Undercommon, I just can't wrap my head around. Do you speak it? What are they saying?
Oh, right. I was just about to ask you. Is she always like this? And he fills her in on what he's overheard and has no idea what the context for is at all.
and Trill taps Mag on the shoulder.
Says, Mag, Ao's feeling really, really sensitive right now. You gotta help out with this. We just had a whole conversation about being able to be true to yourself and not changing for other people, and help her out.
You just had a conversation about not changing yourself for other people with Ao, who's currently disguised as a Morlock?
Okay, when you put it that way, it sounds a little disingenuous. But
Well, I don't know if it was genuine or not. It's just, we can all acknowledge the dramatic irony involved, no?
Mag for the win.
Hey, you know what, David? That reminds me. Let's talk about impersonating, because Ao has been conversing directly with this Morlock a little bit while pretending to also be a Morlock. And she has this disguise on her from the new hat that she got that casts the magical spell Illusory Disguise Level 2. And I just want to talk about impersonation because I'm going to ask for some dice rolls pretty soon to see how it is that this creature is going to react to Ao talking to them. The big thing that's in the rules is that when you're impersonating others, the rules give you a pretty good sense of when to do checks. No checks are needed if you're impersonating a non-specific character, which Ao is doing right now. She's just pretending to be a Morlock, right? So if you're just walking around and blending in disguise, I'm not going to ask you for any checks. That's something that's fine to do as long as you're wearing a disguise. It's okay. If nobody has any reason to investigate more closely, I'm not going to ask for a check.
Versus when Ao is dressed as Belcora.
Right. So the other times when there are checks, the NPC there are two kinds of checks. Sometimes an NPC can make a perception check against your disguise. That happens if you do something strange or out of place that would raise their suspicion. The other kind of check is you, Zoe, will make a deception check against an NPC if you are interacting with them directly. Or if you're wearing a disguise of a specific person that the NPC knows, like, i.e. Belcora, potentially, even if you're not directly interacting with them. So, just to recap, I'm going to ask, while you're impersonating Morlocks, if you do something very non-Morlock, I'm going to give everybody in the room who can see you a perception check against you. And if you directly talk to somebody, I'm going to ask you to make a deception check against them. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm asking you to make a secret deception check, and you're making this against their perception DC to see if they are perceptive enough to see what you're doing. So I just got that roll from you. As you talk to them, they seem to not even for a moment question who it is that they're talking to. So your disguise has held up in this situation. So, joining the conversation again, you have just asked them more about the process?
Yeah. She's trying to understand what she's very upset by the idea of the process as it's been presented and wants to know what it is.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what it is that they do, but it's got to be worth it, right? They take you in there, and they do something to you, and then you come out and you've got metal on your bones. You can be so strong.
And she's just like so horrified and deeply skeptical. She like, but she's also reading that this person is drunk. So she whips at the bartender. Is that right? They take you and you come out and you're not yourself anymore?
I wouldn't say you're not yourself anymore, but you're just a little different, like Lalazanx over there. You think she was born with spider legs?
Why are you letting them just make you someone you're not? We have to stand up against this.
Listen, they're who pays the bills.
And would you give me an impersonate against this bartender also?
Yep.
And they're completely convinced as well. So both of these people you're talking to think that you're a Morlock. And they say,
I don't understand why you even came up here if you weren't interested in this even a little bit. That's why everybody's here. Everybody's here waiting for the process.
And Mag jumps in and says, Who is it that pays the bills? You know, we're all trying to earn a little coin. Sometimes like to know who I'm working for.
Well, it's Jafaki, of course. Jafaki's been doing the process forever. They're the best at it. You come in a Morlock and you leave a little bit better.
Jafaki, if I'm remembering, is our flesh warper friend.
Yeah, who was the mummy that
No.
Chaffkem was the mummy.
Chaffkem was the mummy.
He was the one who
Jafaki
locked Chaffkem
was
up.
his rival.
was his rival who locked him up in the.
Yeah. Also, at this point, can Istin jump and say, "You mean you end up a little Morlock, eh? He turns back to his drink.
Should we just roll for initiative? Is that it?
Does that awful pun translate into Undercommon?
Well, of course, it's Nyang Nyang Bonabo.
Isthing, we did Morlock puns back in episode 29. Get it together. There's a bigger issue here.
Gonna more lock you out of the room.
The drunk Morlock falls over laughing.
That is amazing. That was so funny. Oh
Oh my god, they're
And they
really
fall
drunk.
off they fall off their stool and fall on the ground and pass out.
And Istin throws his hands up, spilling his drink, which is still in his hand, and says, "I found my people at last!"
Drunk Morlocks?
I guess, yeah. Kind of judge him. He tries to throw back his drink, which is, of course, now empty. Another one, please.
Ao's intensity about this has not at all been socially aware or subsided in appropriate ways, given that this is a bar where people are having fun. So the drunk person is past that. She whips over to the bartender. Have you ever thought about why? I mean, why would Jafaki do this? It can't just be for you. It's for Jafaki. It has to be for Jafaki. Why do you think Jafaki's doing this?
Because he's good at it.
That's how he is at it, not why he's doing it. Why do you think he's doing it?
Ayo,
To
Ayo.
make us stronger.
Trill doesn't understand what I was saying, but she'll say,
Ayo, bring it down a notch. We don't want to start anything in here.
I don't want to start anything. I want to make sure they're able to stay free.
No,
that we're able to stay free.
Ayo, I agree with you. But tone, my friend. Tone.
What does the bartender make of the fact that this one Morlock keeps speaking overcommon to all the randos?
Yeah, great point. Let's get a perception check from that from that Morlock, shall we? So here's a perception check as they're like, is this what a Morlock should be doing? And that is a 22 versus Ao's deception DC, which is your deception plus 10.
That's a 25. That's the thing about being really good at deception.
And the bartender just sort of is like,
It's fine.
guess this Morlock gets around.
yeah. And I think that it's clear to Mag and Istin at this point that there's just a massive cultural divide between these Morlocks and Ao.
Point of order.
Yeah.
Are all of these Morlocks dazzled?
I've been wondering about that.
Yeah, I'm not really sweating it too much. That's a
I guess they've been in there a while. They've
that's
adjusted.
a bit of mechanical overhead that I'm not interested. I'm not interested in telling the story of like you guys moving across the room to make sure that your torch is only casting dim light on. Like I just don't. I simply do not care.
We're squinting a little. They're squinting a little. Everybody's squinting a little.
Yeah.
Which is maybe the sign of a good bar.
Yeah, we're all meeting in the middle in terms of our most comfortable light level.
They've got those like pretentious light bulbs with like a deep
Edison
orange
bulbs?
filament that I'm sure burns out
Yeah,
every
Edison,
single
the
night
Edison bulbs, yeah.
and makes the cost of
yeah.
drinks go up by $3.
So is there kind of like a general industrial chic vibe here? Do we have
That's
a lot of like all the light fixtures are in cages?
Yes.
Everyone's
It
sitting
makes
on
sense.
like
Morlocks are totally hipsters.
It's Bushwick circa 2012, if that's helpful for anybody.
Sure. We were all there.
We were all there. We all saw
Yeah,
that
makes
episode of
sense.
Girls where they
Checks
got
out.
lost in Bushwick, and it was so embarrassing that you stopped watching that series.
You mean the documentary about the time they got lost in Bushwick?
Is the band still playing?
Yeah, exactly.
So at this point, the band is starting to wrap up their set. And Rita calls out from the stage, "Thank you. We'll have another set in a little bit." And they all move through a door into a backstage area.
Oh, I wanted to buy them a drink. I wanted to buy that Ludus a drink. She was damn good.
The two Morlocks sitting at the table and playing cards with each other stand up and both start applauding wildly as Rita and her band leave the stage.
And Ao, seizing a moment to try and make progress on her new cause du jour without her friends right next to her, claps along with them and moves up to like sit at the table with them.
Oh no.
So Ao slides up next to these two other Morlocks. What are the rest of you doing?
Trill's just got her head in her hands, just thinking,
There's nothing I can do here.
Mag will bring a drink to the bouncer.
Okay.
Iston is still trying to catch the bartender's eye to get a refill on his
Second
empty
drink.
goblet.
Yeah, so let's say Iston finally gets his second round, and Mag just immediately grabs it off the bar and brings it over to the bouncer.
And he looks at the bartender like total betrayal in his eyes. Just like, she took my drink.
Okay.
he's
I'll
much more
pour you
upset over
another
this than the
one.
ring.
Yeah, let's see how many episodes in a row I can
Definitely.
arbitrarily take something from Matt's character. Keep the streak going.
So
I love it.
Ao, you see Mag walk over to this bouncer and offer a drink to her, which she accepts. The drow spider bouncer. So yeah, you're seeing this from the vantage point of this table where these two Morlocks are playing cards. And you see them having taken a break from their game. They're clapping for the band, and they turn towards you and they say,
Wasn't that amazing? Rita sang that song to you. Wow.
It was amazing.
let's get that impersonation check from you.
Lars, just hoping I fail one of these.
And they nod and say,
Yes, Rita is the best. Did you
completely buying into your disguise.
Did you come here just for them? Did Rita know that you were? Are you friends with Rita?
Ao, having had the 10 seconds she needed to walk across the room to rechange her strategy here a little bit, goes, well, I guess you'd say we're acquainted.
Wow.
I mean, that's not why I'm here. I'm here like all the rest of us. I'm here for the process.
Okay, so that sounds like a lie to me. What are you trying to accomplish with this lie? What are you trying to get them to do?
So she wants to see if she can infiltrate the process and fuck it up. Like, that's her new goal. Can she
Okay.
get tapped into the process and upend it?
Right. Okay. So let's get a lie from you, please. It's a deception check against their perception DC. Okay. So you feel the ring on your hand pulse for a moment as your words get infused with a little bit of extra magic.
Yeah, we all want to be part of the process. I mean, I'm happy to listen to Rita play. The reason I came here was to hear Rita, but if I get called up for the process, that would be amazing.
Who got called last? How do we game the system?
I don't know. Well, that's the thing, is there is no system. They just come and pluck us out whenever they want to. Could be a day, could be a week, could be a month. And in the meantime, we're all just here, listening to Rita and drinking these drinks.
But I mean, she got to go, right? And Ao gestures over to the bouncer.
Oh, that's way before my time. Ever since I've been here, she's been working there.
So you guys are just waiting to get stronger.
That's all any of us are doing, yeah. They're gonna come for us eventually, but they can take their time. We just love watching that band. And we're having
Does everyone who goes through come back here? Do they come back to the bar?
Oh no, none of them come back here. We don't know what happens to them, but I'm sure they get stronger.
Who told you they get stronger? I
Every-
mean, obviously they get stronger. That's why we all love the process, she says, catching herself.
Exactly, right. Well, we all know. We all, that's, what do you mean? That's the word, it's the smoke on the street, baby.
It's the process, and she goes up for a high five.
High five, absolutely.
And they're blind, so they miss.
You guys gamble?
Yeah, we've been playing towers for quite some time. I'm up 5. No, I'm up 5. Well, we're not really keeping great track.
Deal me in, Ao says, keeping an eye on Mag and the bouncer to like see what happens over there because she wants to go talk to the bouncer, but ideally alone.
Is Mag leaving the bouncer? Is there an opening for Ao at any point?
Yeah, I think Mag, she wants to make an attempt to kind of like get a little more some kind of information of any kind from the maybe she's she's trying to sidle over, and maybe she's sort of bonding over, we know how it is, we're the muscle, everyone thinks we're dumb, but really we know exactly what's going on. Like how you know exactly what's going on in here. She's kind of like...
Sure. It sounds like you're trying to gather information.
Yeah, something like gathering information or... Yeah.
So give me a diplomacy check to try to gather some information, please.
What's that do for you?
She looks at you and she's like, listen, leave me alone, okay?
And Mag does. Mag will take her drink over to an empty table, and she'll sit down, and she sips her, what will be her final round.
As Ao sees Mag walk away from Lalazanx, the bouncer, one of the Morlocks says,
Hey, your friend there. Your friend there seems like they play an instrument, huh?
Oh yeah, Trill's the best.
She's the best? No, she's not the best, though, right? Because Rita's
She's no
the best.
Rita. She's no Rita, but she won't see into your soul and quietly devastate you as an inconsequential muse. But which is, of course, nang nang bona bo nang nang. But she's good. She's good. She can do mbop like no other. You guys know mbop? Trill, come over here.
Trill's head pops up as she hears her name between the Nyang Nang Bona Trill bow.
Trilbo. And Ao sort of to Trill. They want to hear you play. I mean, they love Rita, but show them what you can do.
Oh, well, okay.
Wait a minute. Are we going to do a challenge?
What kind of challenge?
A music challenge?
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't want to challenge. Trill, of course. I guess this is all getting.
I was like, yes, we are Trill.
No,
they want to hear you. Ao's not even
I
explaining that it's a challenge.
And
She's
Trill's
like, yes.
waving her hands back and forth.
like, no, I would not want to challenge Rita. She was something special.
Does Trill know that a challenge has been suggested,
No,
or
I
has a
don't
challenge
think so.
only been suggested in Undercommon, and Trill still thinks that this is an invitation to play?
Has Ao translated any of this for Trill?
I don't believe so. No, it doesn't seem like her. I was like, Trill, they want to hear you. They've been so moved by Rita, and I told them that, I mean, you can break hearts like no other. And so then they're like, challenge, and Ao to them is like, yes, a challenge is such a good idea. And
the Morlocks start chanting,
Challenge!
And Ao's looking at Trill. She's like, so low,
And
translating for them.
and the bartender goes,
Challenge!
and Lalazanx starts chanting, and Trill can hear this. Challenge!
Trill hears Lala's and she goes, wait, Ao, you didn't say anything about a challenge. This is, not the right place or time.
And
You
Rita,
got this.
Rita the singer, busts back out onto the stage with her band and says, did somebody say challenge?
Trill's eyes go wide, terrified that she's about to start a fight accidentally.
And in the background, you can hear Istin going, challenge, clapping along.
And Rita points at Trill and says, you. And then points at Ao and says, and you. And at Mag, and you. And at Istin, and you. All of you will face the Rita and the Shadows challenge. And the crowd at the bar just goes like, Nang Nang Boonaboo! And we will pick up from there next time.
The Rita and the Shadows challenge.
It's about time this party was turned into a band. Roots of Ruin is a Tabletop Gold production produced under the Paizo Incorporated Community Use Policy. The Roots of Ruin uses trademarks and or copyrights owned by Paizo Inc., used under Paizo's Community Use Policy. We are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. Paizo does not recognize, endorse, or sponsor this project in any way. Original characters and content are the property of Tabletop Gold. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, visit paizo.com. We at Tabletop Gold would love to hear from you. Email us at letters@tabletopgold.com and find all our social links at tabletopgold.com.